Oh, there we go. Okay.
People can see us now.
Yeah.
All right, Ikeda Wisdom Academy. So sorry we're late, but we're here. We had some technical difficulties, so we're gonna send a quick text to everyone so everyone knows that the video is starting, and then we'll start in 2 seconds. So I'm gonna send a text right now, and or Stuart, maybe you can text. Is this video starting now? So I know Sacramento is on and San Joaquin Valley is on. So thank you so much. I'm not sure if any of the regions there are guys on, but thank you for taking the time. So we're going to be studying from page number 25 in our books, and it's called "The Teaching Hidden in the Depths of the Sutra, the Supreme Law that Opens the Path to Buddhahood for All People." And in this lecture, Sensei is explaining the doctrine of the 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. And he explains the essential part to understand in this concept is the mutual possessions of the 10 words. And for some of our newer people, I just want to dive in a little bit into 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. We basically, the number 3,000 comes from the 10 life conditions from hell to Buddhahood. And within each life condition, there is the other 9. There's potential for other 9. So even if we are steeped in the life condition of hell, we still have the potential to go to Buddhahood or go to Bodhisattva. If we are in the life state of Buddhahood, then we also have the potential to go into hell. So, no matter where we are in our life right now, we all have the potential to absolutely break through and become happy. So, yes, so 10 words teaches. So that's 100, the 10 life conditions, and within each life conditions, other 10. And then we talk about the 10 factors, which we recite twice a day, the part in our Gongya books, Nyoze So, Nyoze Sho, Nyoze Tai, from until Nyoze Honma Kukyoto. And I don't want to go too much into detail about these 10 factors, but basically they represent the physical features of the existence. So, for example, Nyoze So means appearance, Sho means behavior, then Tai means individuality, Nyoze Tai, Nyoze Riki means power, Nyoze Sa means influence. So what it really means is that if we are in the life condition of hell, then we're always going to, our appearance will represent the life condition of hell. Our behavior, our personality, our influence in people, this will all be representing the life condition of hell. However, if we are in the life condition of Buddhahood, then we will have the most beautiful, charming face, and we will have, we'll be warm to people, and so all the characteristics will be defined by our life condition. So, in fact, if you go to page number 26, second column on the top, Sensei says, in discussing the 3,000 realms teaching, there is a tendency for people to become fixated on the number 3,000. But the heart of this principle, in fact, lies in the mutual possessions of the 10 words. That is the 100 words. So, we studied like the 10 words, the 10 other 9 existing in each of them, and then the 10 factors, which makes it 1,000. And then the 3 realms are self, environment, and the insentient beings, the objects. So, which makes that's how the number 3,000 comes. And but as Sensei is saying here, the essential thing is Buddhism is about raising our life condition. So everything is determined by our life condition. When we are discouraged, let us pick up the phone and call our SGI friends, call our young men's, young women's leaders, so that we can really nourish our faith. Without taking this personal encouragement, we will never advance in faith. We will always hit a deadlock, no matter how much we are chanting Daimoku, So this community of believers that exists, this bond of friendship that the youth need to form within, between each other is super important, for every individual practitioner. So I hope all of us can really reach out to our friends. And personally, I know in my first 3 years of practice, there was a young man who, when I was in New Delhi, there was a young man who came to my house every Saturday for 2 years. And he, came for like an hour, and he chanted with me for 30 minutes and studied discussions on youth for 30 minutes. And, in that study time, I would ask him questions, and he would answer everything warmly and strictly. But sometimes I remember when he would go, I would be in tears, just being so moved by senses guidance, or sometimes by his strictness, how strict he was with me. But because I really trusted him, and had that friendship with him, I always really took his guidance to heart and followed it. So without this friendship, we will lose our our spirit, to fight for Kosen Rufu. So anyways, I want to go to page number 27, second paragraph, where Sensei talks about faith in the mystic law. So we're going to find it. So actually, I want to ask Stuart to read it. I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay. Faith in the mystic law of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, as well as prayer and action based on that faith, are key to transforming a life state in the 9 worlds, steeped in earthly desires, karma, and suffering, into Buddhahood. The Lotus Sutra describes how Bodhisattva, never disparaging, while remaining an ordinary person, could transform his karma, attain the benefit of purifying his 6 sense organs, and finally attain Buddhahood, as a result of dauntlessly maintaining his belief in the Buddha nature inherent in his life and others, and continuing to treat everyone with respect based on that belief.
So I just want to bring a point here where, a lot of our youth, as I'm sure everyone is finding out, towards this 50,000 youth gathering that we're trying for, challenging ourselves for next year, a lot of our youth are, steeped in the suffering from earthly desires, are steeped in this karmic cycle, and Sensei is really encouraging us that with prayer, strong prayer, and action based on the mystic law, we can break through any suffering. So that's what even Bodhisattva, never disparaging, went through. As we all know his story. He was thrown stones at and staves at, but he was always persistent in believing in every single person's Buddha nature. So sometimes I feel we have a tendency to label our youth. Oh, this youth is, not as active, and he's he's district leader, but he doesn't do anything. Sometimes we have a tendency to judge our youth like that. But I know everybody hopefully understands this, that for our 50,000 youth gathering, we need everyone. We need every single person to really shine their Buddha nature. If you lose sight of this fact that this 50,000 gathering is for our youth to develop themselves, then even if we accomplish 50,000, have we really accomplished human revolution in each individual's life? So, I hope we can really embrace every single youth we meet at our community centers, on home visits. And I just met a youth this morning, YMD, and he's a really sincere YMD. He's a fortune baby, and I asked him how many YMDs do you have in the districts, and he had a great idea about that, and he's trying for one of his YMD to receive the Gohonzon. So he's such a great heart, and I asked him, let's do home visits in your district, in the next couple of weeks when I'm back. So he was really, really excited towards, visiting YMD. So, I've not visited him in a long time, so he was really happy to see me, and he's really down to fighting for Kosen Rufu with all his might, and he's strong faith. So, let's really embrace our youth as we're fighting towards this 50,000 gathering. So, Stuart, can you continue reading with pure, strong faith? Next paragraph.
Yes.
Thank you.
With pure, strong faith in our own Buddha nature and that of others, we can break through fundamental ignorance and delusion. With deep, earnest prayer, we can tap the life force of Buddhahood that is one with the mystic law. And through continuing to chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, we can ceaselessly manifest the power of Buddhahood in our lives and set ourselves on a course towards attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. In this way, the Daishonin secured the means for actualizing the mutual possession of the 10 worlds by establishing the actual practice of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. This actual practice, encompassing faith from our hearts, prayer through our voices, and actions of continuously chanting, spans the 3 categories of action: thoughts, words, and deeds.
So this is really amazing. I was so inspired when I read this passage, because Sensei is really explaining how to transform our karma here. So it is not just empty chanting, but I hope all of us are chanting as if we're in a battle, war with our devilish functions. And the only way we can become happy in our lives is if we are waging this boxing match with our fundamental darkness every day. That is the only way we can become happy in our lives. And it is so important that when we're chanting, we wage this battle. We have a powerful, resonant voice when we're chanting, and a respectful posture. If we're just slouching in a chair like this and really, checked out, then it's going to be staying very long for our prayers to get answered, because it just expresses we're not serious about. So I hope all of us can really chant every day in a dignified manner with utmost respect and seriousness towards our goals and our own lives. And then, further, I'm going to read the next passage where Sensei talks about a very important point. He says, as I shown and inscribed to Gohonzon, the embodiment of the law of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo inherent in his own life as a means to help us cultivate our own faith and belief in the Buddha nature of ourselves and others, which is indiscernible to the eye. So, this is a super important point. And since he's explaining why the Daishonin inscribed the Gohonzon, without the Gohonzon, we cannot bring forth this Buddha nature within our lives. The real Gohonzon, as we all know, is within our own life. But to activate that Gohonzon within us, we need an external stimulus, which is the Gohonzon that the SGI confers, that the Daishonin inscribed. So, without that, we will not be able to cultivate faith. So I hope we can confer Gohonzons to all those people who are just chanting in front of a wall, which is respectful, but at the same time, for our members to see real, actual proof in their lives, we have to practice as the Daishonin teaches. And if we read the selection of the Time Gosho, we will understand that the propagation in the latter day of the law has to be done together. We can't just promote Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. There's 35 other sects of Buddhism that chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. But what really distinguishes us from those sects of Buddhism is the Gohonzon, the SGI Gohonzon, which is in true accord with the Daishonin's teachings. So I hope with utmost confidence we can all speak to our guests and encourage them to receive Gohonzon. And as I'm meeting YMDs, as we're advancing towards August, I'm really encouraging all YMDs to have one personal shakubuku in the month of August, at least one personal shakubuku. This is the time to really propagate Buddhism and then follow up on home visits. I know we're going to have we have a really outrageous goal for our December youth meetings, and we just can't do it without with just shakubuku or with just home visits. We need both. So let's really care for every single youth who's receiving the Gohonzon, but at the same time, really fight for shakubuku, every day. Let's share our practice with many, many people. So the next section really goes into, says that the teaching hidden in the depths reveals the true intent. So, here in this section, I'm not going to go into detail, I'm going to pass it on to Struett, but this really section really talks about how the essence of Buddhism is really the lifespan chapter. And as we all know, in the lifespan chapter, Sensei or Shakyamuni reveals that he has not attained Buddhahood, not just in that present lifetime that he was living, but eons ago, he was able to, he attained Buddhahood. So similar is the case with all of us. We all have attained Buddhahood, many eons ago. And right now in this lifetime, we're just helping many other people experience the benefit of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to this amazing Kwanzaa. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Stuart, who's going to continue, and I'll help you read through it if you would like.
All right. Okay, so yeah, so on page 27, there, kind of the right hand side there. First of all, Sensei heads off the section by clarifying kind of these principles of text, principle, and intent. The methods of interpretation of text, principle, and intent. And then, of course, getting into the importance of the lifespan chapter and the way that kind of the distinction that's made there when looking at it from the standpoint of text, principle, and intent. And when actually, Rishi, I'm not. I was not.
That's cool. You can go 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but essentially when looking at the sutra from this standpoint of text and principle only, then the great character in this is Shakyamuni. Is this person who lived 2,000 years ago in India, who suddenly revealed that his lifespan was infinitely long, and he had all these had all these disciples emerge from the earth. It's like, wow, amazing. Shakyamuni is so great. Wish I could be like that. But looking at it from the intent there, and the intent, of course, of Buddhism is to end suffering and bring about happiness. Shakyamuni is really is trying to show to us this, and Nichiren really bringing about this practice of how we can manifest this same life state. And this is what starting on page 29, President Ikeda refers to this this standpoint as this religious spirit. This spirit, as he says, that that is. Can you just read that highlighted part there?
It says the religious spirit refers to the inner spiritual power to create courage from nihilism, hope from despair. It is a spirit to look for this spiritual power in oneself, in others, and in all universal phenomena.
And I think we can all agree that this is something that really is to a person shared by the Soka Gakkai. That our fundamental goal, what distinguishes us from other other religious organizations and other a good example, a really excellent example is the Nichiren Shoshu priesthood, is that the fundamental goal is to really embrace this religious spirit, which is to kind of sometimes fly in the face of I know in my own personal case, kind of flying this in the face of my own common sense, which often says it's okay to give up. You don't have to win in this battle, and really create this strong sense of hope, this hope which can create courage from nihilism, hope from despair, to look for the spiritual power in others and in all universal phenomena. So that's the distinction there when we look at the lifespan chapter and the teachings which are revealed in the Lotus Sutra from the standpoint of their intent, which is this religious spirit. It's a teaching that is to allow all people to realize that from the infinite past they've had this enlightened nature. And actually, to give an example in contrast to this, or actually to a lot of the actual text of the opening of the eyes is that Nichiren is making this doctrinal comparison between his teachings and the teachings of these other schools to show, of course, that this is the correct teaching of Buddhism. But actually, if Rishi, can you read that?
Yes.
That quote that's in the brackets.
So this is on page number 30, left column, second paragraph. It says, viewed in the context of text. Here we found it. Viewed in the context of text, principle and intent, which I mentioned earlier, these various schools appropriated and incorporated into their teachings merely the words of the text of the Lotus Sutra. Although they carried on as if they possessed the same principle or teaching as the sutra, they utterly failed to grasp its true intent. Their erroneous and confused interpretations of the 3,000 realms doctrine eloquently demonstrate the extent to which the existing schools of Buddhism in Nichiren's day had lost the vital religious spirit.
Right. So the if you go to your grocery store, you'll find Lucky Charms there, but you're also going to find your knockoff Safeway Lucky Charms, right? And so, I mean, maybe it's a little simplified, but essentially it's this idea of other schools seeing that that the Lotus Sutra had this this fundamental doctrine of the Lotus Sutra is that each person can become enlightened. Said, hey, that sounds pretty good. Why don't we get that? But the real distinction there is the intention, is the fundamental intention to really allow each person to become happy, to really spread this teaching to others, and really do this practice of shakubuku, which is to really embrace and to fully embrace all people, and to to really encourage others fundamentally, or is it just to kind of have this this idea of looking as good as maybe some other teachings? So the kind of going along with this, Nichiren actually makes these other in the opening of the eyes, Nichiren talks about these other practitioners of the Lotus Sutra who had come before him, who had were, as he said, were aware of the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, and did not bring it into the light. Talking about Nagarjuna and Vasubandhu of the former day of the law, and Tiantai of the middle day of the law. The real distinction there is as he says here, the statement Tiantai Chiche alone embraced it, and this is on page 31 on the left side. Tiantai Chiche alone embraced it and kept it ever in mind, refers to the fact that during the middle day of the law, only Tiantai carried out the practice of contemplation of and meditation on the 3,000 realms teaching. But Tiantai's 3,000 realms teaching was essentially limited to practice for oneself. He did not spread it widely as a teaching so that ordinary people could attain Buddhahood themselves and help others do the same. And so, this distinction, and especially like the distinction between, these practices of the middle day of the law and our practice for the latter day of the law, when, we're all normal people. I'm guilty of not following a couple of precepts. Is to practice for others, which is shakubuku, which is spreading this teaching and really getting to this spirit, which is actually mentioned later in the text of the opening of the, which is to call out, to call out evil and to speak out for good. Really striving through the world as we as we go through here. So also, Sensei down the page says the 3,000 realms doctrine implicit in the low chapter is a teaching of actual practice. The law is not something that just exists. It must be spread. The value of the law is only revealed when we teach it to others, and thereby not only awaken them to the inner brilliance of their Buddha nature, but bring their own lives to shine as well. And that unless spreading the law creates value, there would be no point to the law's existence.
Mhm.
I think that really speaks pretty fundamentally to how we got, and the reason why we reached in this campaign for 50,000 youth. The mystic law is like the mystic law. I was thinking about it earlier this week, and it's like it's like I was actually listening to under a recommendation from one of the men's division leaders. I actually listened to like all of Beethoven's symphonies.
Wow.
And the mystic law is like the rhythm that goes through all of these symphonies.
Wow.
It's made up of nothing other than all these individual instruments.
Yeah.
Who are all playing in the same rhythm with this conductor. Each of us carrying out our practice is like these individual elements of like a symphony. And like Sensei is like the conductor, and Nichiren is the conductor, and this mystic law is the rhythm.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's that. But yeah. But in that way, we really have to all be in rhythm with this, and that's why I'd keep adding on more people to this symphony. And I actually wanted to go back to kind of bringing this out on a more macro level, but talking about Kosen Rufu in general. On the left side of page 30, actually, can you read that second paragraph there?
Hi. Josei Toda?
Yeah.
It's on page number 30, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph. It's Josei Toda, the second Soka Gakkai president, said, when all people manifest the life state of Buddhahood, that is to say, when they reveal the supreme value of their character, nor hunger in the world, be illness nor poverty, all people to become Buddhas, elevating the character of all people to something of supreme value. Yeah, the dust come one.
We do Shakabuku as we engage in these. We're like just inexorably moving towards this future where in rhythm with the mystic law, and everybody is able to reveal this life state of Buddhahood that has existed within their lives from the infinite past, which is Nichiren's intention. So yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Stuart. So
Rishi.
Yes. Just want to conclude by encouraging everyone who's listening to really let go of any hesitation that we hold in our hearts, towards accomplishing our goals and towards making other people happy. The greatest way to contribute to humanity. So I hope all of us can really embark on this Shakabuku spirit and go really crazy in August. So thank you all so much.
And what we can do is, if anybody's watching and has some questions, you can actually leave them in the chat bar that's on the right side of the page. We'll be able to answer them. We'll be able to answer them here.
Oh wow, great!
Yeah, I know that we have one viewer, but also if anybody else is viewing and isn't necessarily able to enter it in the chat box, just send a text to me or Rishi, and we'll be able to answer it here.
So we got Cara here supporting us.
Hi.
Do you have any questions?
No, not yet.
Okay. 30 more seconds if anyone has a question. Otherwise, please have a wonderful discussion wherever you are, and have a great rest of the day. So we'll hang out for 30 more seconds. If we see someone typing, we'll stop. So great. We have some really amazing taiko drummers in the background, and yeah.
Where do you get the book?
Oh, bookstore. It's in the bookstore.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's a great question, by the way. If you don't have the book, this is like the best. Oh, it's only $7.95.
Wow, only
it's
$7.95.
The best $8 you will ever spend in your life. So, yeah, please go to your local bookstore and buy the book. So, yes. Okay, looks like we're doing great. So, thank you, everyone, for joining this meeting, and we will see you next month. So, thank you, everyone. Bye.